Hey, Foot Clan. Lowe's is my new go-to destination for discovering the newest Craftsman products, including mechanics, tool sets, storage, and more, in-store and online, like the 120-tooth ratchet.
Hey!
It has a 3-degree arc swing. None of that 2-degree stuff.
No!
It lets you loosen or tighten bolts with less movement in those hard-to-reach spots. Plus, it comes in a gunmetal chrome finish. That's not only sharp-looking, it makes them corrosion-resistant. That's pretty cool. Shop the new home for Craftsman today at Lowes.com/footballers. That's Lowes.com/footballers.
And we want to remind you about jointhefoot.com, our Patreon community. Foot Clan, this is where you can come and support the show. We are independent, but we're giving you awesome stuff for supporting the show. A bonus weekly podcast, community access, those Foot Clan leagues we often talk about. That's how you get into those. Premium resources, a game day alerts on Sunday, so you know who's in, who's out. There's tons of awesome things that comes along for supporting the show. So check it out, jointhefoot.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from Draft.com Studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Welcome in. I see Mike has broken out the
Hat Week continues.
Hat Week. Arizona Cardinals cap today. You're enough days removed from the loss that you can wear a Cardinal cap.
Yeah, we're on to week 5 now.
Yeah. I see if you had asked for a hat from, I don't know, Christian Kirk, Larry Fitzgerald, Ricky Seals-Jones, any of those, they would have
dropped it.
They would have dropped it.
Yeah.
Welcome in Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018. It's another day in the neighborhood.
That's what they say.
We've got some great segments prepared for you today. Pump the brakes. Last straw. We're revealing our last straw players that we're giving you one last chance, and then we're kicking you off our teams.
Mm-hmm.
Vindictively.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll click that button so hard. Click. Hey, yeah, that was a loud click, Mike. Jason, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right. The middle of the week, the hump day, the Wednesday is like, okay, man, I'm just getting over last week. I'm doing all my research for this coming week, and so my mind is like a knot.
Ooh.
So who knows what you're getting from me today? I mean, the things that'll come out of my mouth will shock and awe.
Had a quick story I thought was funny to share. You reminded me because Lowe's was kind enough to sponsor the show. Yeah, yesterday, I know I'm gonna do some man stuff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
I got one of those
hard not to
Nest
these days.
Nest thermostats.
Yeah.
Huh.
I've never changed the thermostat. I installed this bad dog upstairs. I tested it. I'm so proud of myself.
Yeah.
I go down. I'm flexing for the family, saying, look what this dad accomplished. We eat dinner. Everything's going fine. We go upstairs to go to bed. It's 83 degrees upstairs.
Not working.
No, it was working, just in the opposite direction.
Oh,
Wait.
you hooked it up like backwards or
So,
something?
yeah, well, I guess I'm taking the blame. I thought I followed the directions appropriately, but somehow the wires were crossed. Something about a heat pump reversal. I don't know. But instead of cooling the upstairs for
You were
everyone to have
heating
a
it?
pleasant sleep, I was heating it.
That's really funny. Now,
So it's 8:30 p.m.,
yeah,
and I'm scrambling to fix the stupid thermostat it worked before. Oh, it sucked.
I have my
It
own
sucked.
Nest thermostat story, and I've installed them at my house, 3 of them. Did 3 of them in half an hour. Flexed for the family. They were impressed. They gave me the clap. Jason.
Oh, it's so easy.
Jason
Andy says
It's not easy.
Andy says
suck.
it's so easy. So, yeah, I got them for my house.
Yeah, I said, I got this.
I was like, Andy, you've done these. Yeah, hook it up.
Come on over. And I said, no big deal.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I'll just do this real quick.
Yeah.
Rips his shirt off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is how a
Terrible.
man does it.
Yeah, well, how'd that turn out?
Well, you broke my air conditioning unit. You tripped something and the fuse broke, and I had to get a professional
And you know
out
what?
there.
Because I knew that story, I made sure I had turned everything off.
Yeah.
So thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no hot swapping. No hot swapping on the thermostats. All right, follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers all year long. We're here with you every day helping you navigate your league, have some fun, Jason got trolled live on the show yesterday.
Oh, so
it was
amazing.
incredible timing. He received his 0-4 balloons from his Week 4 opponent.
Still gonna be the champ.
Okay.
We'll see. YouTube.com/thefantasyfootballers. We're throwing some highlights up there as well every day. Thanks, baby Josh. You're doing a good job over there. He's nodding. He's nodding like a baby.
Because he doesn't have a microphone. Baby Josh does not get to speak on the show.
It's risky business if that, yeah, no way. FootClanGiveaway.com, signed Corey Davis jersey, championship belt. You can check that out. And our rankings are up later today. It's Wednesday, and, well, you know.
O'Reilly.
Auto
parts.
Ow! All right, Pump the Brakes, our weekly Pump the Brakes segment with O'Reilly Auto Parts. Jason, who are you pumping the brakes on heading into Week 5?
Look, I'm pumping the brakes on a star rookie running back with multiple touchdowns and over 100 yards, doing it more efficiently than any running back in the history of football. A lot of people rushing out to grab Nick Chubb from the waiver wires. I think there are plenty of people, those Chubb truthers, who will say, you know what? I'm plugging him in. I want the breakaway touchdowns, which clearly he can provide. And I'm saying, whoa, Nelly, let's slow down a bit. Because he had...
Are you Toll Booth Willie?
Do you really think people are...
I'm coming out of the booth.
Do you think people are starting Nick
100%.
Chubb?
Apparently.
Who's starting Nick Chubb?
Every single time that a player goes off for a monster game, there are those people in certain leagues that want to chase those points. And here's the thing. News came out saying that they want to get Nick Chubb more involved. So it's someone...
Hugh Jackson said that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. Baby Huey himself, Baby Huey Jackson, wants to get Nick Chubb more involved. So I think that there will be people plugging him in, or at least making large waiver bids to get the hopeful future star running back. And I'm pumping the brakes majorly because, look, he had 3 carries. He also had 3 snaps. 3 times he got on the field.
That's 100% touch rate, though.
That is true. I mean, highly efficient. And I liked Nick Chubb. I liked his tape coming into college. I had a note that basically said, look, if he goes to a team with an awesome offensive line, he's going to be great because you get him with a head of steam and you're not stopping him. We saw that this last week. If he goes to a team with a average or mediocre line, I think he's going to get taken down a lot behind the line of scrimmage. But he's not going to get the work.
But Jason.
Wow. That's quite a voice of public opinion.
Yes, Mrs. Public Opinion?
If you gave him 15 carries, he'd have 10 touchdowns.
Exactly wrong. That's what I'm pumping the brakes on.
All right.
People extrapolate too much. He got 3 snaps, and he was a change of pace guy. I'm not really worrying about it. If you want to pick him up, if you've got a burner spot because maybe he becomes
I think he's a fine stash.
Sure, stash.
But he's a handcuff.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm going to jump in here. My pump the brakes.
If you're the Hyde owner, maybe you think about it.
Yeah, handcuff.
That'd be the – yeah.
Sure. Yeah, running backs are dropping like flies these days. So a high upside stash, Nick Chubb, I think is an okay play for your fantasy team. I'm pumping the brakes on someone last week who had himself a monster fantasy game. The number 3 quarterback on the week, over 460 yards, 4 passing touchdowns. I'm pumping the brakes on Andrew Luck. I don't want to play him this week. Short week, playing the Patriots. Will be without his top 2 weapons, and that means, yes, I am including Jack Doyle as a top 2 weapon for the Colts.
The same 2 he was out last week?
No, he had T.Y. Hilton last week.
For a small part of the game.
For most of the game. But he is out. We're now dealing with Ryan Grant, Pascal, Chester Rogers, and I think that the Patriots figured some things out last week. You had the 3-0 Dolphins who maybe they didn't look as good as their record, but to just completely shut them down offensively. Ryan Tannehill had 100 passing yards.
And they're at home again.
Yes.
And
this
Luck
is
missing his biggest big play weapon.
This
in
is what the Patriots do. They start slow. They figure things out. It's not the beginning of the end.
Nope.
It's the end of the beginning.
Yes.
And the Patriots are about to rise, and I think that Andrew Luck is in their sights.
You got some Batman Forever going on in my head now. The end is the beginning is the end. Remember that?
I don't.
Wow.
The only thing I remember about that is
Smashing Pumpkins, I believe.
Oh, is
That's
that
a Smashing
the
Pumpkins
song?
song, yeah.
Oh, I just remember.
You remember that, Brooks?
It's time to kick some ice.
I think we referenced it in the
Here's
Fire
a question.
Ice and Fire show.
Did Batman Forever come out before or after Baby Josh was born?
Oh,
Had
way
to be.
before.
What year were you born?
1996, he says. Oh, maybe.
Why
It was-
don't you vet
Wow,
that
that's
one?
a legitimate question. That is really
Who is
upsetting.
older? Okay, Batman Forever was 1995.
So that came out
You
before-
avoided that thing. Good for you.
You remember that movie, Josh, when you were 1?
You need to chill.
That was bad. My pump the brakes, and I'm sticking with it. Not that you can listen to me anymore. I mean, I'm looking at last week, right? Mike, home run, pump the brakes, Isaiah Crowell. He basically pumped the brakes entirely. He didn't even start.
Right.
No, the car didn't move.
Right.
It's in the driveway.
Yeah, he forgot to let the e-brake
I
off.
mean, this wasn't even a bad game. It was a no game. Marvin Jones, Jason. He had a very mediocre week. Didn't get the touchdown, just like you projected. And then I pumped the brakes on the greatest player in the history of the NFL.
Your process was sound.
Calvin Ridley.
It was, Jason. Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, Calvin
A guy
Ridley,
who's on the field for what, like
40-something% of snaps. Also less targets than Sanu and Julio Jones, and yet 2 touchdowns again.
Yep.
So we'll stay in those, what do you call that, the ice water? I'm pumping the brakes on Phillip Lindsey, my start of the week last week, who did perform as the start of the week. And I'm pumping the brakes in the context of, look, he is not an auto start to me. He still needs a good matchup to play him. And you have to put him in this category of basically, Royce Freeman's great. Vance Joseph's stupid. Devontae Booker's there. And because of that, you need Phillip Lindsey to get into the end zone for you. If he didn't do it last week, he's not an auto start. And Phillip Lindsey's very talented, but you're going to get between, 7 to 11 carries from Phillip Lindsey.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's about – I think what he had –
Week 1, it was 15. Week 2, it was 14. Then he was concussed. Then it was 12. So, I mean –
So maybe you get 12 carries from him. But I don't think he's an auto start each and every week. I think he's a decision. Like, would you rather start Phillip Lindsey or Deion Lewis this week? What do you think? Are you going to stay in Phillip Lindsey's
yeah, probably.
in the rotation?
I think they're both good matchups and both good plays. But I would probably
Phillip
stay with
Lindsey is in New York this week. So
for the Jets.
Correct.
Well, it
Two
could be
teams
the
in New York.
Giants.
For the Jets. So Phillip Lindsey, Nick Chubb, Andrew Luck. I hope Andrew Luck has a bad week. I'm facing him this week.
Oh.
So it's always nice when you can root for that. Those are pump the brakes.
Yep.
With O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices each and every day. Let's go ahead and get into some of this news.
News and notes from around the league.
Rest of the season, Royce Freeman or Phillip Lindsey? Who do you want?
Phillip Lindsey. Oh. I have to say it
I'm
quietly.
going to stick with
Freeman?
Royce Freeman.
The problem is with Phillip Lindsey, he's very good.
Right. Yeah.
That's the problem. The problem is not like, okay, this undrafted guy, the team is backing him. He's flashed a couple times. He's excellent. I mean, he does things that Royce Freeman cannot. They complement each other very, very well.
But what about this stat? Phillip Lindsey has never finished an NFL road game in his career. 100% of the time, he's been thrown out for trying to play Nintendo's Punch-Out on a football field.
100% of the time. I mean, that's hard to argue. Now he's going on the road. Fisticuffs are going to fly.
5.9 a carry this year.
He's
been great. I mean,
he
I
is
remember
so shifty.
after week 1, I just wanted to
165 pounds.
Completely discount Phillip Lindsey in every which way. And so I went back, I watched every snap, and I was like, darn it, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's shifty, he's powerful, and
So
what does he say he has? 4.39 speed? I mean,
What is
pro
he?
day.
That's what I say I have, too.
No,
So,
that's what he had at the pro day.
sure.
5'8", 165.
Yeah, I'm generally speaking.
But obviously looks great. I mean, he was a start of the week for a reason last week. And look, I'm setting you up here.
Sure. So
Every week you can start my pump and break.
Start your Phillip Lindsey.
Leonard Fournette is out for week 5 against the Chiefs. We knew this was coming, but it's official.
Yeah.
His hamstring is in recovery.
It's made of candy. Licorice.
Have some candy.
Dan Quinn said he expects Devonta Freeman to return in week 5. Does he return to your lineup against the Steelers?
That's a great question.
A great question. That's a question I asked Brooks, my co-owner, this morning. Because, I mean, we've got Alex Collins, Amari Cooper, and Devonta Freeman that were really – we need 2 of those 3 guys. And I think it's going to depend on some of what happens in practice. I want him fully back, and I'm going to – I mean, look, by the end of this week, I'm going to have researched how people come back from his injury as well as I can because it's everyone who has Devonta Freeman is going to have to ask that question. They drafted him to be – an RB1, possibly RB2, definitely. So they're hurting without him.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to look and see how Freeman has performed since he's come back from these little hammy strains, that type of thing.
Well, it's not
From
only
my
that.
recollection, he's always been, once he's back, he's pretty much back. But I'd like to confirm that.
But will he be fully back this week as in the team?
That's what
But I'm saying this particular week to me, like Tevin Coleman's playing all right. They have Ito Smith now, who's playing pretty well.
This is an absolute 100% for both teams must-win game, right? I mean, both the Steelers and the Falcons. You lose this game, there's no hope. Your season is over for one of these 2 teams, and it's going to be a high-scoring game. I don't think you're going to roll out Ito Smith if Freeman is good enough to be full participant in practice through the week, then he is, that's going to be really, really telling because you're not going to go out there in such a must-win game and say, okay, Ito, take over.
I agree. I mean, he's your $41 million man. So if he's healthy, I think they're going to play him. But we need to monitor that.
Right.
Antonio Callaway, his playing time could be dialed back according to head coach Hugh Jackson, probably from not playing good football. That would be the top reason that I would dial it back is, 3 of 9 targets. He's been very – he's been athletically amazing and mentally he hasn't put it together yet.
We're going to be talking about the final straw players, and he was almost one of those guys where it's like you keep wanting because you see the potential, you see the upside in the rookie and Baker coming in where you go – maybe he could be something, but at some point you have to move on from a guy who's not getting it done.
I agree. And Rashaad
Higgins,
Higgins,
rookie. It's been 2 weeks.
I'm saying at some point, but
you're going to go with Rod Streeter?
I'm not. So if he comes out,
Rashaad Higgins is probably a better play than Antonio Callaway.
But I'm saying when you're in 3 wide, Callaway's got to be on the field. I think it would be a mistake to bench him.
You think to bench him?
Well, as in to dial the snaps.
Oh,
back.
for the Browns, not for fantasy.
No, yeah, I'm talking for the Browns. I'm saying
like,
let him play through it. Let him figure it out.
All right.
So you're saying they'll bench him?
Yeah, I think they'll. Yeah.
Geronimo Allison not practicing Wednesday, remains in the concussion protocol. We'll monitor that. We'll let you know in the matchup.
We had a sleeper alert that came through just right before this, and Green Bay has confirmed that Marquez Valdes-Scantling will be the guy. It's not anything we weren't assuming, but it's at least been confirmed that if Cobb or Allison cannot play, Valdes-Scantling is the guy to pick up.
All right. The Rams are releasing their kicker and signing Cairo Santos until Greg Zuerlein's back. So high-powered offense. If you want to take a shot, go ahead. That's all right. Mike Tomlin asked about the possibility of a star running back returning to town. His name's Le'Veon Bell. And he said, I have not talked to Le'Veon and I have no Le'Veon update.
Therefore, we have none.
That's fair. We do have the Thursday night preview on today's show, but first we'll get into the main event. But before that, we want to thank today's sponsors.
Absolutely want to thank Pristine Auction for sponsoring the show. Pristine Auction, the best sports memorabilia site of all time. And we have a signed Kareem Hunt jersey on the wall right now. Excellent work, Brooks. Superstar Kareem Hunt got it done, and now he's getting it done in the office, making it look oh so fresh, oh so good, oh so clean. There's hundreds of new things on Pristine Auction every single day. You got to check it out. I log in at least once a day to see what's going on and check out some of these deals that recently happened on pristineauction.com. A Josh Rosen signed Cardinals logo football, just $79. A Christian Kirk signed football, just $69. Antonio Brown signed Steelers jersey, $86. This and so much more, Foot Clan. Pristine Auction, Pristine auction.com. Make a completely free account. And when you do, make sure you tell them the Fantasy Footballers sent you.
And we want to make sure everybody knows about Prime Video channels, which are absolutely awesome. Look, when you join Amazon Prime, which I'm sure everyone listening has done because it's so awesome, in addition to fast, free shipping, you also have great entertainment delivered to you instantly through Prime Video channels. Not everybody knows about Prime Video channels. We do. Andy, I know you use you've got Showtime.
Yeah, I was
right?
checking out the kidding episodes with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, I need to get back on that. But here's the deal. You can watch over 100 channels on Amazon. No cable required. So for all the cable cord cutters out there, this is your service. It's fantastic. You create a lineup from premium and specialty channels, Showtime, Stars, HBO, CBS All Access, whatever you want, all the tons of fall content, Ballers on HBO. You want that? You want NFL exclusively on CBS All Access coming up? It's right there through Amazon Prime channels. So, look, only pay for the channels you want with Prime Video channels. Start your free trial of over 100 channels by visiting tryprimechannels.com/footballers. Again, that's tryprimechannels.com/footballers to start your free trial of over 100 channels.
The last straw.
Okay. These guys are getting dropped if they don't show up this week. We all wanted to pick out, I didn't say pick out one, I didn't say pick out three. Just give me a couple names, guys that are your last straw players that will hit the waiver wire if they don't show you something in week number 5. I don't care who goes first.
I'll kick it off with a guy that there was some debate yesterday, or while we were preparing yesterday's show for waivers, about whether or not we should even include Latavius Murray in there. And we were talking about, okay, well, look, if Latavius Murray was on your waivers, you would
probably pick him up.
Right,
yeah.
Mike was saying that. And Dalvin Cook, he might not be back. He might, we talk a lot about Leonard Fournette. Okay, that's worrisome. Hamstring problem, comes in, re-aggravates it. That's a huge issue. Well, that's pretty much what's going on with Dalvin Cook. They just haven't come right out and said that there's as big a problem. So I'm a little bit worried about Dalvin Cook. So that says, Latavius Murray, that's the guy. You need to get him. You need to have him. The problem is Murray has had opportunity. Cook hasn't been there. And Murray has done jack squat. I mean, he has completely been irrelevant in the best situation imaginable. Remember that game against Buffalo? No Dalvin Cook, best matchup ever where he got 2 carries, turned those into a yard? That's not helpful. C.J. Ham is the one always with the ball in his hands. They've got another rookie running back. It's just like at some point
Rock Thomas
is involved too. Latavius just doesn't look good.
When he's not being a detective, of course.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah. Gumshoes.
But the thing is I'm not ready to drop him yet. I'm not ready to not pick up Latavius Murray because it's still a small sample size. But if Dalvin Cook is out, or even if he's very limited and
Doesn't seem to matter.
Latavius Murray is irrelevant again for another week, he's gone. He gone. I'm moving on. I'm not picking him up. I'm not holding him. I'm not stashing him. I'm just saying he's not a good enough handcuff.
No longer married to him?
Oh, no.
I feel like Murray's
Divorce mode.
He's been a victim of circumstance, of
Maybe.
game scripts.
And
like,
that's why
the Buffalo, they were down multiple touchdowns
but you would
in
have
the blink of an eye.
You would have hoped somebody that has the passing game acumen of Murray in his career would not be being supplanted by C.J. Ham
who sucks
or Bourne, or it's like they've predetermined that Murray's not going to be involved in that way, even if Cook's off the field.
Agreed.
Well,
yeah.
And 2 weeks ago against Buffalo, Murray was involved. He had 5 receptions for 30 yards.
He pulled the last straw for me last week.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that. Yes, I need one more straw to break the camel's back.
Ooh.
That's it.
Yeah, just mix all of them.
Mix all the
cliches
straws
together. Yeah. Okay, so your last straw, first one, Latavius Murray. I'm going to throw out Nelson Agholor.
Yeah.
It's not been good since Carson Wentz's return. I was just looking at teams that lead the league in drops right now. Cleveland, Minnesota, Philadelphia, also known as Callaway, Treadwell, Agholor. That's why. They lead the league in drops. And Agholor, since Wentz's return, not been good. You've got multiple tight ends that can be used in this offense. You have Alshon Jeffrey back. It doesn't seem like – now, the targets were still there last week, and that's why he's not already dropped. I want to see it. I want to see what happens this week. I want to see if those targets turn into receptions, and maybe you build that rapport. I don't want to let a guy go that could be the PPR guy for a really good quarterback in Carson Wentz. So I don't want to let him go now. I want to wait and see, but he's on his final straw.
Yeah, I don't blame you at all. I mean, Nelson Agholor, he had the breakout season last year, but it was on the back of 8 touchdowns. Only 768 yards, 62 receptions. I mean, those numbers are fine, but when you add in 8 touchdowns and the offseason was filled with discussion of, okay, what happens to Carson Wentz's touchdown rate? It's not sustainable. Well, I mean, it's only been a couple games here, but Nelson Agholor is not coming through in the touchdown department. My first guy, oh, man, it pains me. It pains me. I was grasping at straws, just wishing and hoping that this player would come through because he is on the field so much. But it's Chris Hogan, wide receiver for the Patriots, from my guy to last straw player in the matter of 4 weeks. Here's the problem. He's been, like I said, he's been on the field for over 90% of the New England snaps, but he's not getting targets. Enzo facto, he's not getting receptions, and he's been playing in the slot a lot. Over 61% of his snaps are coming from the slot, according to Pro Football Focus.
Ruh-roh.
That's Julian Edelman's job. He's about to get Spartan kicked right out of the slot. And just, as Jules says, Hogan, thanks for filling in. You did a really horrible job. So on this
New England.
Wait, New England.
Yes.
And it's trouble. It's troublesome for Hogan. If you have him, I am going to give him one more week because I talked about, does it somehow improve his output with Edelman back on the field? But if you want to drop him, I do not blame you at all.
All right, Jason, why don't you give us another last straw player from your list?
All right, I've got kind of a 2-pack here because there are 2 running backs that I don't think you can. I just don't think you can.
I don't think you can drop
them.
these guys.
But this is the last straw. I mean, if these 2 guys come out this week and don't produce, you're dead in the water. I mean, maybe it would be better for your team to drop them, and that sounds ludicrous.
Right.
It's the 2-pack of LeSean McCoy and Derrick Henry. Not one of these guys has had a double-digit fantasy game. Now, I'm much more concerned with Derrick Henry than I am with Shady. Shady has, kind of like what you were saying, Mike, he's been a victim of circumstance, missed a game, had hurt, broken ribs or rib cartilage.
Got a hand problem
3
now.
road games to start the year: Baltimore, Minnesota, Green Bay.
Yes, very difficult. So I'm a little bit more confident with Shady. But when it comes to Derrick Henry, the dude has gotten work. I mean, a lot of work. He has had all the opportunity in the world to produce. 10 carries, 18 carries, 18 carries. Now, this last week with Philadelphia, game they won, they said, hey, you're only getting 8 carries. And I don't think that was a bad idea because he has stunk. I mean, he hasn't had 60 yards with all those carries in a single game. He's barely cracking 7 points in a fantasy league. You cannot start him. If he comes out this next week and gets fewer than 10 carries again and does nothing with them, or I would even say if he comes out and gets 13, 14, 15 carries but is atrocious as he's been against Buffalo, who should not be able to stop him. So this is one of those perfect situations where it's like, hey, if you need to start Derrick Henry this week, you should be able to.
The offense
on
is
paper.
improving.
The offense is improving. The matchup is just fine. You should be able to flex him in, and hopefully he has his bounce-back game, and I'm glad that I didn't cut him already. But if he sucks this week, I guess Derrick Henry would be on the chopping block. There are situations that could happen based on injury and waiver wire pickups where I go, I might rather have this waiver wire star than a guy who every single week is scoring 5 fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame you for that. And ironically, McCoy and Henry get to be inefficient against each other this week.
Right.
McCoy only had 8 touches last week. 8 touches. We're
hoping that's
5
the ribs.
Injury.
carries. Well, he was on the field for 36 snaps. So I don't like that. You're on the field for 36 snaps. By far the leader in the backfield. Ivory was on the field for 22 snaps. Titans give up the 4th most yards per carry. If you're not going to do it against the Titans this week,
Right.
when are you going to do it? I mean, you're at home. I'm in the same boat. Now, I would never cut McCoy.
Right.
Because of the snap count, because it's not the same as Henry to me, where not only is McCoy involved or theoretically involved in the passing game. He had 3 catches.
He's been involved before.
He's been involved before, and this offense is anemic. It's terrible. I'm playing the Tennessee defense this week, but McCoy is going to have a longer leash for me. There's a few more straws left in there, but I get it. I mean, both these guys, he will be benched for better options. I mean, like this week, you're going to play Phillip Lindsey, you're going to play Lesean McCoy against Tennessee at home. If you're not playing Lesean McCoy at home against Tennessee a week removed from the injury, when are you playing him?
Yeah, fair point.
Painful. I'm going to throw a couple more names out there, a couple more last straw guys. Rashaad Penny.
He was the last straw last week for me.
Even with the
when Mike Davis came in and took over, and they said, "Penny, you're a dirty Penny."
Chunky Penny.
I don't want him.
For me, it's because he gets a leash for me because of the rookie nature, the first-round capital. There were weeks when we were going, man, what's going to happen with Sonny Michel? You just traded him away. It doesn't look like there's a future that's strong, and then boom, overnight. I feel like that could be the Penny situation. One breakout game from Penny, and everything changes. But
Definitely.
it hasn't happened. And the other one is Kenyan Drake. My opinion on Kenyan Drake has been the same throughout his entire career. If you hand him the entire backfield, he's explosive enough to give you an entire bucket full of fantasy points. But it's the choice of the staff. If they don't have an option, then they'll play him. If they have another option, then they won't. That's just been the case with Kenyan Drake.
Weird.
And he, they have an option right now to play other players.
Ball.
And they don't. So Rashaad Penny, Kenyan Drake are both in that category. Mike is smirking.
Sorry, I got
Smirkle over there.
It was waiver time, and so I had to check something because in our dynasty league, I am in tight end purgatory. I started Rhett Ellison last week.
I'm sorry.
So Uzma was there, and we talked about this for
Uzma.
Thank you. I don't want to get it wrong. Uzma. We don't know. What'd you say?
Isn't it Uzama? Isn't it Zom? I don't know.
Look, CJU, he for the tight end for the Bengals. We don't know if it's going to be him or Tyler Kroft. It's really a toss up, but CJU was on our waiver wire, and I put in what I thought was a really high bid to make sure that I got him. And then I was pleasantly surprised to find I outbid Brooks by just $2. Eat it, Brooks. Yeah.
I'm the Kroft owner. So
yeah.
I really hope it's Kroft.
It's Uzma.
Uzma. Okay, we've got it.
I've got the official Cincinnati Bengals pronunciation guide in front of my face.
Uzama.
Well,
I hope they use him a lot.
I'm really on the fence with that. Very
right.
interesting.
It could be either way. This is a dynasty league, so this is just a stash and hope. It was just brought a smile to my face. When you outbid someone by just a fraction,
it means you did it right.
It feels so good.
You did it perfect.
And that person considered upping it by a few bucks a few times. It didn't happen.
It feels so good.
Yeah, Zach Pascal picked up.
Yep.
By me. I actually am very curious on Zach Pascal. He's undrafted rookie, but he's 216 pounds, 6'2", and runs a 4.55. and he was actually involved now with T.Y. Hilton out of the way. It's just one of those curiosity things for a dynasty league.
He's got a different shine to him now for Jason now that he's on his roster.
No, this was
there was not that level of shine yesterday for Zach Pascal.
There was not that level of shine.
Suddenly you did more digging
on the show. I did more digging,
yes.
and then I decided to bid $20.
He's also a French mathematician who created a unit of pressure,
a wonderful name,
equal to 1 Newton per square meter. I mean, that's
Pascal.
That's common knowledge.
Yeah, of course it is. We went to college for some period of time. Mike, let's hear the final couple last straw players.
Sure. The last one I want to
to
throw out is Jamaal Williams, running back for the Green Bay Packers.
This is the perfect. Like I was really upset that you had him in here because this is my primary last straw player. He's on my
Jamaal
roster,
Williams?
and I kept struggling with do I drop him?
Right.
And I said no. I need one more week, but. One more week, if Aaron Jones takes over and is the guy, I mean, he's gone. But
I think it will remain a nasty timeshare for fantasy purposes, but Aaron Jones is the best running back. I think will get the most opportunities by a hair, and he will be the most productive guy with those opportunities. If Jamaal Williams doesn't get full volume, then he's not useful for your fantasy team. And he's, unlike Shady McCoy, I'm okay dropping Jamaal Williams because I know someone else out there is going to go, oh, Jamaal Williams, I should pick him up.
I've seen a ton of Twitter messages
and just
already.
Clog the roster.
That say, Jamaal Williams just hit my waiver wire. What do I do?
Yeah.
And I say, leave him there.
He's a roster clogger.
So that
by the way,
sounds
Mike,
like he's already had the last straw to you guys.
But saying, I'll give him one more week.
Mike, you accomplished your goal in the listener league as well. I was going after Mr. Kiki.
My co-owner.
And you outbid me by $6.
Wow, that's my co-owner.
So that stinks.
What's up, Jackie?
Because I am the resident Will Fuller owner, and that would have been real nice. Real nice to protect that. So thanks for nothing. Demaryius Thomas, Jason, is he a guy in that category for you?
Yeah, so he's similar to the two running backs that I mentioned where you go, I don't know that I can drop Demaryius Thomas. He's still getting the targets, and that's the volume is really what you chase. But he is a last straw in the sense that if he stinks again in New York against the Jets, then he is a ride the pine for a long time type of guy, or a package 100% must trade.
Prime time for pine time.
You gotta. I mean, the problem is Cortland Sutton literally looks like the better player on the field right now. I haven't seen anything from Demaryius Thomas to say that he is a special talent this year, other than he's a big, strong guy with pretty good hands. And
I think I made this prediction in the studio yesterday. By the way, the touchdown to interception ratio for Case Keenum over the last 3 weeks, that would be 0 touchdowns, 3 interceptions for 3 weeks. That's the problem, people. Let's stop worrying about that. The problem is the quarterback. And I talked about this yesterday in the office. I think they're going to lose to the Jets this week. I think they're going to lose to the Rams the week after, and I think you're going to be wondering and clamoring. And I know Denver fans. They are fiery. I talked to one yesterday who wanted to tell me that Pat Mahomes, Kareem Hunt, and Tyreek Hill were very, very bad players and not talented. Maybe, and I know what you've been through. You've been through Simeon. You've been through the Paxton Lynch experiment. You have the $18 million you spent on Case Keenum. It is you've given him a long leash, and you need to. And I don't think Case Keenum is the worst in the entire NFL by any stretch. But right now he's the 25th ranked fantasy quarterback, and that is when you throw 250, 245 and 0 up for fantasy at home against the worst defense in football in Kansas City, that's your problem. Single-digit fantasy points. Demaryius Thomas, Emmanuel Sanders, and Cortland Sutton can't perform when your quarterback is getting under 10 fantasy points.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is Emmanuel Sanders has been pretty good, and Cortland Sutton has impressed while Demaryius Thomas has stunk. And my issue is this. Mike, in the offseason, we talk much more in depth in the offseason. We're doing a lot of real digging on players, and you created kind of a target versus fantasy expectation and what the discrepancy is there. And we looked back over several years, and there was this trend where when a player is, above age 30 and the metric was really bad on one of their seasons, it tended to point towards that's the end for that player.
Right.
Like over and over.
When they're still getting a bunch of targets, they rank highly in that, but they rank poorly in fantasy points.
And
we saw that was a marker for the beginning of the end of a lot of players.
And that was last season's Demaryius Thomas. Last season, he showed up as one of the worst in that stat at age 30. And so I'm worried that maybe Demaryius Thomas, just like Andre Johnson and a lot of great players that are bigger, not speed guys, when they hit a wall. And so that's where he's in my final straw, where I'm paying close attention. I want to actually watch him, not just his production, but his routes and everything, and just see is this someone I just need to move on from.
Yeah, and I don't know. I wouldn't be cutting him because he's on pace for 132 targets.
Right, exactly.
Cortland Sutton is impressive physically, but the targets haven't been there. But you could see a migration over the second half of the season. They got to fix that offense. Brooks, you had a question about the last straw players. I know you brought it up earlier.
Yeah, I was just wondering, does your team's record impact your decision? If you're in a must-win situation, or the opposite if you're undefeated?
I think a lot of teams with these players are in a must-win situation, right? I mean, if you have LeSean McCoy and Derrick Henry, and you drafted those as early running backs, you probably lost a couple games where you needed them, and they were in your lineup and sucked. And so I do think you have to be willing to make moves. We talked about this yesterday. You have to manufacture wins, and you have to do it now if you've got a bad record. You don't have time to keep running out the same tired and true trash that is not getting the job done. So, yeah, if your record is poor, I think you can't wait around for these players. You have to package trade them or make the move, the scary, ugly, gross move of going to someone else off of waivers and trying to black out the names in your heart and mind.
Yeah. I like the phrasing you used. Manufacture wins. If you can get yourself over the hump, go week to week. You've got bye weeks to navigate. You've got opponents with bye weeks. If you can find those matchups, get a few wins under your belt if you've had a rough start, other teams will start to disintegrate around you if you can stay the course. Let's get into the Thursday night game.
Thursday Night Breakdown.
Well, Mike's already talked about Andrew Luck. He thinks that there may be he may have a mental breakdown with the lack of weapons in New England.
Zach Pascal, best wide receiver ever, begs to differ. He's the best weapon he's ever had.
Well, the Patriots are at home. Sony Michel coming off the big week. For New England, what do you expect to see from the receiving core now that Edelman's back? Gordon's had a few snaps. Dorsett's on the outside. Patterson got involved. Hogan is a ghost.
Yeah, a big question, the biggest question, is Gronk. What is the health of Rob Gronkowski? Conflicting reports coming out saying the ankle injury is not serious, but he's not been at practice on Monday or Tuesday. Gronk, I think he will play. Where do your guys lean on Gronkowski's availability?
I believe he'll play.
Jason?
Yeah, short week, I could see him miss. I mean, this is one where I don't feel I've got to – it's going to be based on today. I mean, if he's not with them today, I can't imagine he plays tomorrow.
So for the pass catchers, for Julian Edelman, I think it's
you'll roll him out there right away.
A big hug, the return of my friend, if I'm Tom Brady. It's Julian Edelman. I'm so happy that you're back. I know where you're going to be, and I know you have reliable hands. So I think that 7-target range for Julian Edelman is back immediately.
So are you willing to throw him in a lineup?
Yes. Yes, I would play Julian Edelman as a wide receiver too.
Well, let me put some names out there. Would you play Jeffrey or would you play Edelman?
Jeffrey.
Probably Alshon Jeffrey for ceiling.
What about Kenny G and the smooth routes?
Oh, that's an excellent question.
Kenny Golladay or
At
Julian
home
Edelman.
against Green Bay.
I think I'd play Golladay.
I would as well.
Yeah. So maybe Edelman's a wide receiver 3 for me.
That
Quincy
seems...
Enunwa or Julian Edelman?
Edelman.
Tyler Boyd or Julian Edelman?
Boyd.
Yeah, I got to stay in the Flames with Boyd.
Emmanuel Sanders or Julian Edelman?
Edelman.
Sanders.
All right, Josh Gordon, is he holding pattern on your bench right now?
Yeah, I still haven't seen enough that I'm ready to throw him into the lineup. Do you disagree, Jason?
No, I completely agree.
Okay.
It's one of those. There's going to be production from New England. Is it going to be Gronk? Is it going to be Edelman? Is it going to be?
If let's say Gronk is out,
if Gronk is out, Josh Gordon becomes much more interesting to me. The big body downfield guy.
Well.
Both of these teams rank in the top 10 in terms of pace of play. Colts are number 1, Pats are number 9. A lot of the no-huddle, quick pace of play. Probably going to play a factor for the Colts, too, on the road, dealing with the Foxborough crowd.
Both running backs are startable. I want to play both of the New England
And by
guys.
both
Sony
on New
Michel,
England, not both from two teams.
Yeah, Sony Michel, James White. I like them both.
51.5 point over-under. Colts are second.
I like that.
Colts have the second most sacks in the league right now. The Patriots are not getting to the quarterback. They have the second fewest. We talked about Nyheim Hines earlier in the week. Marlon Mack has been practicing. Hines has the 4th most running back receptions in the league, which I think gives him the baseline that you guys both see.
Yes.
With Nyheim Hines and the need for them to likely be, they don't have a lot of weapons. They're coming back in this game. You guys think that there's value for Hines?
Yeah, I think Hines. I even with Marlon Mack coming back, even with Robert Turbin coming back, and Jordan Wilkins looking like the best of the rookies on the ground, that's going to be a muddled situation. I don't want to touch any of those guys. But in the passing game, the Patriots are favored by 10 points on a high over-under. That's a coming back Andrew Luck manufacturing a bunch of yards. I know you pump the brakes. I totally get it. You got a guy with
I still want to play Hines.
You got a guy with a shoulder injury coming off of an overtime game where he threw 60-plus passes on a short week. That's going to be hard. But you know what's not going to be hard? Those dump-offs to Hines. I mean, it's going to be left, right, and center. So, yeah, I like Nyheim Hines quite a bit. I actually like Eric Ebron for those reasons as well. It's hard for me to be anti-Andrew Luck here. I just think the situation is he's going to have to throw the ball.
Yes, he's going to have to. I just think he will not have success. I don't disagree with the have to.
All right. Any other thoughts from this game that you want to get into? I mean, we've talked a lot about the wide receiver core. I still think Grant, the PPR situation. I looked at catch percentage over the last, first 4 weeks of the season. Who's best in the NFL in terms of catch percentage? Now, I know that has to deal with average depth of target. But regardless, Ryan Grant is in the top 10. He's catching the ball. Michael Thomas, Ryan Grant, those guys are go-to receivers. And if you have to gain yards 5, 6, 7 at a time, run through the air, so to speak, he's going to be a beneficiary from that. And while Rodgers and Pascal have more upside, Grant has the higher floor. Do you agree with that?
Yes, Grant's floor should be absolutely fine. If you're in a full point per reception league, I think that's good. The last thing that we need to bring up, because it's an early game and this is a very important player for stupid leagues that still have kickers, Adam Vinatieri has been limited due to a groin injury, which my groin. Pretty significant piece of equipment for kickers is their groin.
That's what I hear.
I swapped Vinatieri out for Dan Bailey this morning in our league of record.
It's a good move.
Because I saw that questionable tag show up. That's why I don't mess with Santos necessarily for a 1-week rental. You can, but basically with kickers, my philosophy is this. Remove as many variables as possible. And the variables involve a new incoming kicker, injury, risk, concern, and weather. If I can remove those 3 things, I give myself the best chance to get lucky and have a middling week. Dan Bailey's first week with Minnesota, he ended up,
That was such a wacky thing.
It was.
Where they're down 20 points to the Buffalo Bills and can't kick a field goal.
Yeah, but ultimately, when a new kicker comes in, like Cleveland brought one in, you just run a risk of a guy being out there for the first time with such a mental game with a kicker. Obviously, Santos didn't have a job, and he tried out for other teams. So, and Zerline will be back. But that's just my philosophy. I remove variables with kickers. All right, let's.
What you're telling us is to remove kickers.
If you got it. If you take the middle words out, you are dead on. Let's go ahead and get into the mailbag.
Mailbag.
All right, we love answering questions, helping you win your league. And this time it's week 5 questions. You can dial our voicemail hotline 302-464-TFFB if you want to leave us a voicemail question for the show. You can also go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com, click the submit a question button, and leave us a question. That way we get to a few here and there. And first one's a voicemail.
Hey, ballers. Noah here from Austin, Texas. So I have Ertz and Reed on my team, and I'm getting some offers for Jordan Reed. How should I value tight ends in trades going forward? Do I value them higher because there's less of them with all the injuries, or should I value them just as I have in other years? Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
What do you guys think?
I think you value them the same, and do not trade Ertz away. Ertz is one of the big ones that is a massive advantage for your team. I love Jordan Reed. I think he's a tight end 1, but he's the one I would be willing to trade away.
All right, Chase in Phoenix has a question. Should I trade Jay Ajayi and Jarvis Landry for David Johnson?
I'm glad this came up because this is an aside. This is not me answering your question yet, but for Jarvis Landry, here is the lineup for the Cleveland Browns schedule-wise. They play Baltimore this week. Gross. That I don't like it. It's not favorable, but check this out. Chargers, Tampa Bay, Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Atlanta.
5 games.
Holy freaking crap. Those are the matchups you want your fantasy players to be going up against. If I could get Jarvis Landry right now, I would be super happy. Andy has him in our league of records, so I know there's 0 chance that I can get him right now. But in my other leagues, I'm seeing if I can get Jarvis Landry on my team.
Now, that being said, to be able to transfer from Jay Ajayi, who, I mean,
I'd love to get rid of Jay Ajayi.
I feel like what's the over/under on 3 more full games on the season? Like, you're just so worried that he is at some point going to have to call it quits on the season with that broken back that he's playing through. David Johnson, owners are still willing to sell him right now, and the running back position being much more difficult to come by. Would you be willing to trade Jarvis plus Jay Ajayi with the great schedule?
I would be willing to do this. I just wanted to have the quick aside of Cleveland
the schedule's
players
looking good for Jarvis, and the targets are obviously always there for Jarvis.
If you can acquire Njoku,
yeah,
off of he's on the waiver wire for a lot of people as well.
Yeah, the schedule's pretty nice.
That's fantastic.
In this specific instance, Chase can replace Jarvis Landry with Alshon Jeffrey in his lineup. I like picking up David Johnson there as well. Curtis in North Carolina. Doug Baldwin looked ... all right ... in his first game back, and was pretty much on par with Lockett. Would you feel comfortable swapping out Lockett for Baldwin this week, or would you give it more time? I would play Baldwin.
I would play Baldwin.
100%. Baldwin is good to go now that he's gotten 1 game in. He was 5 for 41. He should be absolutely fine. Now, it's a tough matchup.
No setbacks that we know of.
The Los Angeles Rams, but they are at home, and the Rams are going to score like silly scoring with now the Earl Thomas-less Seattle Seahawks. So I think they'll have to have Baldwin. Should be a good play this week.
That was one of the interesting observations I saw in the catch percentage charts. Brandon Cooks is actually near the top of the league in catch percentage to targets, and the Rams in general have 1 drop on the season. So their receivers, that's the number 1 in the league.
That helps.
They're holding on to the football for Jared Goff.
It's amazing how a drop kills a drive.
Yeah.
It changes a first down to now it's 3rd and long or whatever.
Yeah, it's true.
From 1st to 3rd.
It does afford a show like us, though, to come up with insightful nicknames for players like Mike did with Droptonio Callaway yesterday.
Oh. What?
Yeah.
Come on.
It was bad both directions. I believe one of you said Antonio Dropaway.
Yeah, that
was really bad.
Yeah,
and then Droptonio Callaway is also very bad.
I'm getting calls from the Louvre, from the Smithsonian,
I doubt
the Guggenheim.
I highly doubt it. Little bit of a news
art.
update.
I am creating art out of thin air.
That is one possible way you would describe what you're doing.
Well said, Andy.
Joe Mixon is still yet to be cleared for Week 5, and we didn't talk about this enough. We will obviously have full update for you in the matchups when we get into them tomorrow. Gio Bernard's situation, who's banged up with an undisclosed injury. We don't know that situation. There is a world where Mark Waltenberg is a important player this week.
I thought he got hurt too.
What? I don't get hurt, man. Hey, Mike.
Hey, what, Mark Waltenberg?
You think I can get in the game, get the ball, maybe score a touchdown?
Well, you did exit the game with a possible concussion. I don't know if you remember that. Probably because of the concussion.
Oh, man, I totally forgot. Hey, say hi to your father for me. Wait, I mean mother. Dang it.
Joe Mixon, if he isn't cleared, he said, quote, he will for sure play Week 6 against the Steelers, but it could be Gio again for one more week.
Joe Mixon.
Holy crap.
Joe Mixon will play this week.
Hey, Gio.
100,000%.
That's what you believe?
Yeah, Joe Mixon is starting this week. He's a great start.
He might have to, but I'm just running down the chart.
Yeah.
Thomas Rawls would be the next man up. By next man, I mean the fourth man up if something happens to Gio, Mark Waltenberg, and Joe Mixon.
Joe Mixon is a great start this week. I have no worries. You know, we talked about, will you play a guy coming back from an injury? Yes, this is the time frame is absolutely fine. He has recovered. But yes, you were able to talk about Thomas Rawls again.
I can't wait till we're talking about starting Thomas Rawls tomorrow.
Never going to happen.
All right, final question. Mark in Minneapolis, how much fab do I spend on Russell Wilson if someone cut him and put him on waivers?
$1?
$6?
Maybe $1?
Not a lot, guys.
6% of your budget? Yeah, it's not a lot. You're not going hard in the paint. You're not going, oh, he's a big name, I've got to spend 30, 40% of my budget to pick him up because, first of all, quarterbacks are replaceable. Second of all, Russell Wilson is stunk. Third of all, you're not going to start him, at least I don't really want to start him this week against the Rams.
Go to fourth of all.
Fourth of all,
Thomas Rawls is fourth. Always 4.
Looks like you picked up Cameron Brate today.
I did. I'm shocked that no one else bid on him.
It's a bye week. It's difficult to roster a bye week tight end.
I made it happen.
Don't forget, drop it like it's hot. Check your waiver wire. See who is released, especially this week, because players are desperate. As the season goes on, the more desperate you get, the more willing you are to let go of a player that has longer term value to get shorter term value. If you're in a nice position, 3-1, 2-2, 4-0. You might be able to grab a guy that doesn't have value for 2, 3, 4 weeks, like a Cameron Brate or somebody else that is just sitting out there.
I was actually going to bring that up to mention that for those teams out there that are 4-0,
yes,
or 3
are you talking to me?
Or 3-1, if you can go after Le'Veon Bell, because that owner has been hurt. Their number one pick has been gone. They're probably 1-3. If you're 3-1, 4-0, you can hold on. If you have to go 500 from now until the time Lev Bell gets back, but you can get a top 2 back, you can add Todd Gurley to your lineup essentially for the second half of the season run and through the playoffs.
Are you that positive that he does come back after the bye week?
I am,
and that he is immediately injected into the 90% snap. So
there is definitely a world where that doesn't happen, but I am sure enough for the reward. The reward is so great that I'm willing to take the chance that you could be wrong there, because I don't think there's a world where he comes back and rides the bench while James Conner goes and they just don't play him. So even if he is not a 90% snap count guy and they move him down to 60, 65%, then he's going to be giving you what David Johnson's giving you right now, which is still pretty good, even though you're disappointed. More than likely, he's going to come back and be who he's been.
Right. Just saying the price is up because the person, if you have Le'Veon Bell, you have for sure heard the news, the reports that ESPN is saying he'll be back. So,
but if you're 0-4 with Lev Bell, have fun waiting. I mean, you just can't.
Sure.
All right, that is it for today's episode. Matchup starts of the week coming up tomorrow and lots more as we head into week 5. Thanks for subscribing, supporting the show.
Check out draft.com/ballers to get ready for the weekend. Play some daily. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.